What if the most intense feeling you've ever had for another person wasn't love at all? What if everything, the obsessive replaying of conversations, the mood swings tied to their response time, the way your entire internal world reorganized itself around one person, was actually a psychological state that has nothing to do with genuine connection? At Gravity of Attraction, we go where most relationship content won't. And this one requires honesty because millions of people are currently inside something they've labeled love, and it's quietly dismantling their lives from the inside out. It has a name. It's not romantic, and once you understand what it actually is, you cannot unsee it, that all-consuming feeling you have for someone. The constant replaying of every interaction, the compulsive social media checks, the way your entire emotional state rises and falls on whether they've responded, that isn't love. Those are symptoms. The obsession has a clinical name, limerence, love's counterfeit, a state that mimics romance on the surface while operating on an entirely different and far more destructive mechanism underneath. What follows is what it actually is, how it's interrupting your life, and the specific steps required to get out of it. What limerence actually is. On the surface, limerence and love can appear identical, especially early. The racing pulse, the pull towards someone, the intensity that feels like what we've been told real love should feel like. But the underlying architecture is completely different. Love is a connection. Limerence is a cognitive obsession. The term was introduced by psychologist Dorothy Tenoff in 1979 to describe an involuntary state of acute infatuation, characterized by intrusive, unwanted thoughts about another person that can consume the majority of your waking hours. This isn't the chosen, intentional focus of love. It's an invasion, one that interferes with your capacity to function at work, at home, and inside every other relationship you have. When someone occupies your mind so completely that basic functioning becomes difficult, that's not love. That's limerence. Here are the distinctions that matter. Connection versus fixation. In love, thoughts about your partner are deliberate and bring a sense of calm. In limerence, they're intrusive, compulsive, and generate constant anxiety. Reality versus fantasy. Limerence is built on idealization. The other person becomes a flawless projection, the one singular person capable of completing you. Red flags don't go unnoticed by accident. They get actively dismissed because they threaten the internal narrative you've constructed. You're not in love with the actual person. You're in love with the version of them you invented. Love requires the opposite, seeing someone's imperfections clearly and choosing them anyway. Certainty versus ambiguity. Limerence requires uncertainty to survive. It needs that specific mixture of hope and doubt about whether your feelings are returned. That ambiguity creates the cycle. Euphoria from any small signal of reciprocation, devastation from any perceived withdrawal. Your emotional state becomes entirely contingent on their behavior. That volatility isn't passion. It's the mechanism of the obsession keeping itself alive. Love doesn't operate on that instability. It's built on trust and clarity. It feels secure. Growth versus self-erasure. In limerence, you reorganize yourself around the other person, adjusting habits, appearance, even core values, in pursuit of their approval. The entire focus is on securing their validation, not building something mutual. Love moves in the opposite direction. It supports the individual identities of both people rather than consuming one of them. 5 steps out. Breaking free from limerence isn't something that happens overnight. It's a process of choosing reality consistently over the fantasy your mind has constructed. It requires a deliberate decision and specific skills. Step 1, name it. Call it what it is. Limerence. This isn't semantic. When you recognize you're inside a documented psychological state, you create distance between yourself and the experience. You're not uniquely unhinged. You're in a predictable, painful mental loop that others have mapped before you. Naming it allows you to observe the intrusive thoughts rather than be swallowed by them. That distance is where recovery begins. Step 2, cut off the supply. Limerence functions like addiction. Every interaction with the person, every text, every profile check, delivers a neurological hit that resets the withdrawal cycle. To break an addiction, you remove access to the substance. No contact where possible, no meetings, no messages, no checking what they've posted. If complete separation isn't feasible, enforce strict low-contact boundaries. Brief, emotionally neutral, and nothing beyond what's necessary. This is how you starve the uncertainty the obsession feeds on. Step 3. Redirect inward. Limerence is an outward fixation rooted in something internal, frequently low self-worth or an unmet need for external validation. All the energy directed at the other person needs to be turned back toward yourself. Re-enter hobbies you abandoned. Invest in friendships that are genuinely reciprocal. Stabilize your physical state through movement, sleep, and nutrition. These directly affect mood regulation. Then ask the harder question. What qualities were you projecting onto this person? Confidence? Ease? Freedom? Begin building those inside your own life. You don't need someone to complete you. You need to become whole on your own terms first. Step 4. Dismantle the fantasy deliberately. Your mind has constructed a narrative more compelling than reality. And that narrative will keep pulling you back unless you actively disrupt it. A concrete technique: make 2 lists. On one side, write the idealized qualities you've assigned to this person. On the other, write the actual record: their indifference, the red flags, the damage this obsession has caused your life. When the fantasy surfaces, redirect your attention to what you actually know to be true. This isn't about making them a villain. It's about de-idealizing them enough to see them as a real, ordinary person, rather than a projection. Step 5. Learn what real love actually feels like. People who've lived inside limerence for a long time often find healthy love underwhelming at first. The absence of anxiety gets mistaken for an absence of feeling. That is one of the most consequential errors you can make. Real love isn't an addiction. It feels like safety. It's built on mutual respect, consistency, and being genuinely known by another person. As you heal, actively seek out relationships, platonic and romantic, that are emotionally safe and reciprocal. When you experience secure attachment for the first time, the chaotic pull of limerence begins to lose its grip. You start to understand that love isn't the feeling of endlessly falling. It's the feeling of finally landing where this leaves you. At Gravity of Attraction, the through line of everything we cover is this: the obsession you mistook for romance was a cage. It blocked access to something steadier, more nourishing, and real. Naming it, creating distance, turning attention back to yourself, grounding in reality, and redefining what love actually looks like. Those 5 moves give you back your own mind. You stop pursuing emotional highs and start building something with actual weight to it. You deserve a relationship that makes your life larger, not one that makes it smaller. Drop your experience in the comments. Where you recognized yourself in this, what the pattern looked like for you. Your story may be exactly what someone else needs to see to begin their own way out. And follow Gravity of Attraction for more of this. Honest, research-grounded breakdowns of the things that usually get explained badly.